Today, in less than 24 hours, Ukraine carried out two separate operations sharing the same strategic soul, striking at the heart and lungs of Russia. The result: more than $3 billion worth of Russian military and energy assets wiped out, a blow not only to infrastructure, but to Moscow's belief in its own invulnerability. One operation began on the Crimean coast, where the Feodosia naval port was once considered the steel fortress of the Black Sea Fleet. The other took place deep inside Russian territory, along the Tula-Moscow pipeline, the lifeline feeding the giant war machine. Two strikes, different in terrain, but beating with the same pulse: speed, deception, and chilling precision. Before dawn could break, the entire Feodosia port was trembling. From afar, the first explosions erupted. Russia had struck first. Two Buyan-M escort ships, each worth tens of millions of dollars, and MiG-31 fighters roared, launching 33 caliber cruise missiles with the declared goal of stopping the Ukrainian threat. The naval port blazed with fire and the screams of tearing metal. But that was only the prelude to a fierce counteroffensive symphony. Above, Ukraine's Su-27s unleashed electromagnetic interference, blinding Russian defensive radars like the eyes of a man lost in the dark. Moments later, scout missiles soared, shredding command and fire control centers. Beneath the sea, mini-submarines Guza-MM silently cleared paths through minefields. And from afar, Neptune, the sea god of Ukraine, prepared to strike. The Neptune missiles tore through the chaotic radar screens, slamming into the hulls of Russian escort ships. A chain reaction began. As Russian radar spun wildly amid the jamming storm, Ukraine's unmanned USV boats, low, fast and cold, surged forward. Beneath the sky clouded with oil smoke, they skimmed over the waves, guided by signals from reconnaissance UAVs above. The first explosions ripped open the Buyan-M's hulls. Russia's cashed-in cannons fired wildly, raking the water but hitting nothing. Their radars blinded. Gunners saw nothing but waves and smoke. Each USV reached its mark, detonating shaped charges, not to sink, but to paralyze, shredding propeller shafts and turning the ships into dead steel. Amid the inferno, Ukraine's electronic stations disabled all Russian UUVs launched for counterattack. Control systems froze in the cold water. In the skies, Russia's MiG-31s chased decoy UJ-22 drones, a sophisticated game of cat and mouse. In just 15 short minutes, the entire Feodosia port turned into a graveyard of iron. Oil smoke rose in pillars, flames licked the docks. From the Gerza-M vessel, the Ukrainian commander gave the next order: second phase strike. Cruise missiles launched in unison toward oil depots, fuel tanks, and the command center. A colossal explosion erupted, knocking out the base's entire power grid. Russia reacted in desperation. Caliber missiles were launched back from deep within its territory, but Ukraine's UJ-22 drones continuously shifted frequencies, jamming and blocking the guidance systems. Many missiles lost their lock, plunging into the sea like lifeless chunks of iron. As the counterattack collapsed, Ukraine sealed the blockade. The Gerza-M and the USVs closed every exit, while Neptune circled offshore like a predator waiting for its prey. The landing team began clearing mines, freeing the pier. Ukrainian medics knelt beside wounded Russian sailors amid the wreckage, a moment of humanity in the storm of steel. By dawn, the Ukrainian flag fluttered above the Feodosia command tower, where engineers started taking stock of what remained. But that was only half the story. 70 miles south of Moscow, in the thick fog of dawn, another operation quietly began. Under the damp forest canopy, Ukraine's robotic sappers crawled low, planting directional mines along the strategic Tula-Moscow oil pipeline. The value of this route? Over $3 billion, the lifeblood of the Russian military's logistics. Above ground, Russia thought it had spotted the enemy. 6 K-52 Alligator helicopters burst from the clouds, launching volleys of S-8 rockets at what they believed were Ukrainian reconnaissance teams. But what they struck were merely Mugen 5 decoys, plywood frames with loud propellers and strong radar reflections, a perfect ruse. While Russia's Panzer S-1 scrambled to shoot down ghosts in the sky, the real operation unfolded below. Vilka M units were moved into position, ready to fire from within the forest. A spearhead of T-84 tanks led the assault on Checkpoint 22, where Russian forces guarded the high-pressure section of the pipeline. Continuous gunfire erupted. Smoke and fire rose from the fortifications. In the shadows, Ukrainian soldiers on dirt bikes flanked through an abandoned industrial zone, striking directly at the logistics depot.
Thermite explosions echoed, crimson fire cutting through the mist. Russia's supply line was severed. Moscow's response came instantly. BM-30 Smerch launched cluster munitions, and Lancet-3 drones hunted Ukrainian armor. In the skies, Ukraine's MiG-29s darted like lightning, deploying infrared flares to lure S-400 and Nebo-M radars. As Russian batteries swiveled toward the decoys, 2 Ukrainian Su-30s skimmed the treetops, activated their targeting radars, and fired K-31P anti-radiation missiles. Within minutes, both Nebo-M stations exploded. Russian air defenses were blind. A swarm of FPV drones rushed forward, small, fast, and silent, undetectable by radar. Within 30 seconds, the second Reebok drone, linked by a fiber optic line as thin as hair, reached the pipeline's weak point. The operator pressed the trigger. A giant fireball rose in the Tula forest. The shock wave blew apart 600 feet of pipeline. The entire southern sky near Moscow lit up like a bloody dawn. Russia's 76th Airborne Brigade was immediately deployed, but the access bridge had been demolished by Ukrainian mines. Amid the smoke, interference, and chaos, they were trapped. Waves of loitering drones dove down, exploding over armored vehicles. Ukraine did not annihilate them. They held their position, blocked the routes, and sent a message: this area has been cut off the map. As flames still roared, Ukrainian units withdrew in order. No looting, no lingering. They left behind only time charges and a scorched wasteland. Overhead, NATO reconnaissance aircraft confirmed the Tula-Moscow pipeline was completely disabled. In a single night, Ukraine struck both heads of a giant serpent, one at sea, one beneath Russian soil. In Feodosia, the Black Sea burned. In Tula, Russian earth was aflame. 2 strikes, 1 strategy, coordinated, deceptive, and precise. Hours later, Western intelligence confirmed. Multiple Russian tank battalions were immobilized due to fuel shortages. Supply convoys delayed for 72 hours. Feodosia drowned in smoke, and the Tula-Moscow pipeline fell silent.
This was not merely a military victory. It was the affirmation of a new generation of warfare, one where UAVs, robots, and asymmetric tactics have become the weapons of the weak but intelligent. Ukraine fought not only with steel and fire, but with intellect, speed, and the cold discipline of an army fully aware that it is rewriting the rules of war. Ukraine and Russia possess vastly different types of weapons and capabilities. Russia wields expensive, powerful platforms, Boyan M escort ships armed with Kaliber missiles, K-52 helicopters, S-400 strategic air defense systems, and Nebo-M radars, with extensive long-range firepower but operating in a linear model dependent on centralized detection systems. Meanwhile, Ukraine compensates for its smaller scale through electronic warfare, a diverse array of UAVs and USVs, from reconnaissance drones and kamikaze FPVs to attack boats, Neptune anti-ship missiles, local navigation systems such as fiber-optic guided drones, and robotic sappers and deminers. This combination allows Ukraine to blind enemy radar, deceive air defenses, and execute surgical strikes on ships and oil infrastructure, inflicting financial and strategic damage far exceeding its own losses. The result is that while Russia maintains superiority in sheer destructive power and large-scale fire capability, Ukraine holds the tactical advantage through flexibility, technological integration, and rapid decision-making, turning Russia's costly defensive systems into exploitable targets and achieving unprecedented asymmetric effectiveness. As dawn rose over the Black Sea, the Ukrainian flag still waved amid the oily smoke. The soldiers stood in silence, eyes fixed eastward, and in the whisper of the wind, only one phrase remained: "Glory to Ukraine."